Let's talk about this ongoing fight between President Trump and California, both with Governor Newsom and Mayor Bass there. What are the optics, or how do the optics of this, how do they play? And is it your sense that President Trump feels like he's got nothing to lose here, just to go all in?
It seems like a fight that President Trump relishes. It sort of hits his trifecta of areas that he loves to tackle: immigration, law and order, and California Democrats. And quite honestly, you have a little sprinkle of bonus there, the fact that Gavin Newsom is at the center of this. Those are fights that Donald Trump likes to take on, that he is leaning into right now. And it's distracting from a lot of things that are going on right here, something that we cover very closely up on Capitol Hill, the big, beautiful bill. President Trump was just at the White House and said that it's possible that they don't get this done by that self-imposed July 4th deadline. That's something that party leaders have really been running towards and been underscoring that they are going to meet. That would be big news if we weren't watching Los Angeles so closely. So I think that both things can be true at the same time, that this is a fight that President Trump enjoys because it hits all of those touch points, and also it's distracting from other touchy subjects back home.
I mean, Rob, on the scale of protests, and, over the past 10 years or so that I've been a national correspondent, I've covered a lot of protests. And on the scale of protests, this is not to say there hasn't been violence, cars have been burned, but this does not seem that it is the massive threat that we've seen other protests. Why jump to the point of bringing Marines there so quickly?
Well, Ryan, I think there's a couple of things. First of all, we see this building. I mean, there's a lot of people on the left who are talking about No King's Day coming up on June 14th as a counter to President Trump's birthday and the big parade happening here in Washington, D.C. So I think there's probably concern that this could spread to other cities across the country, as they have talked about. So that's the number one thing. And I think, secondly, on the Marines point specifically, they don't want this to get out of control like it did in 2020. I think there are regrets from the Trump administration that they didn't do more back then when they saw riots in numerous cities, and so they want to send a message to L.A. right now. And if Marines are there and they can stay within their confines of what they're engaged to do, I think that that's appropriate.
Chuck, is that appropriate?
I don't think it's appropriate. I think this is exactly what Donald Trump wants. Like, we've all covered him. We all act like this is some new thing. This is exactly the fight he wants to have. And to Michael's point, it hits every one of them. And I give you the bonus of Los Angeles and movie stars. I wouldn't be surprised if he brings jet airplanes and helicopters. He wants us talking about this every day because it's immigration. It's people standing on burnt cars, waving Mexican flags. Like, the real folks out there that are my friends, that are in the streets, that are doing peaceful protests about bringing light to an immigration system that's been broken. This ain't the ones burning the cars. This also gives people who do not have their best will at hand to come there to cause trouble and to stir up messes to where this thing is not going to end well, and this is exactly what Donald Trump wants.
To your point, though, Chuck, and the Congresswoman made a similar point, and I think most people would agree that the overwhelming number of protesters are not the ones burning the cars. But yet, I think those same protesters understand that brings that element to a situation like this. Is there some calculation that these protesters need to make about, if you decide to engage like this, there are going to be bad actors that are going to come in and kind of mess the message up that you're trying to sell?
Absolutely. And I've been doing this a long time. I've been at many protests. We were in the green room a while ago, and I was explaining what a rubber bullet feels like when you get shot with one, because I've been shot with one. There are well-intentioned folks there, but you have to separate them against other troublemakers on our side who just care about being on camera, because now it's a full-time job on Instagram and on Substack to have a video camera on you talking about how you're fighting back, and you don't vote. You don't care about the community. You just care about clicks and being on social media.
Right. And Donald Trump's taking advantage of that, isn't he?
Well, certainly. And if you go back and you look at some of the issues that animated voters in the 2024 election, clearly immigration was one of them. You look at the polls that are even out. A majority of Americans support deportations and some of the policies that this administration is pursuing. And so then if you have bad actors who are disrupting and causing fear and concern in cities, a major city like Los Angeles, Ryan, I think absolutely the Trump administration is going to come in there and try to set an example.
All right, Michael, let's play a little bit of what Speaker Mike Johnson had to say yesterday. Take a listen to this.
Could we really see active-duty Marines on the streets of Los Angeles?
You know, one of our core principles is maintaining peace through strength. We do that on foreign affairs and domestic affairs as well. I don't think that's heavy-handed. I think that's an important signal.
You don't think sending the Marines into the streets of an American city is heavy-handed?
We have to be prepared to do what is necessary, and I think the notice that might happen might have the deterrent effect.
Michael, I find it's interesting. You and I have often heard Mike Johnson brag about the fact that brag's not a right word. He makes sure we know that he's a constitutional law expert. He talks about his love for the Constitution, not wanting to burn the Constitution. The idea that he would kind of so flippantly talk about bringing federal resources, military resources in to deal with a domestic problem, How does he make that argument that that's a good use of Pentagon resources?
Well, I think in a way it's that President Trump is leaning towards this. The administration is talking more about the Insurrection Act. We're seeing federal troops, National Guard be sent to Los Angeles. This is a very precarious moment for Republicans in Washington right now. I'm going to go back to that big, beautiful bill. We eat, sleep, and breathe it. That is right now in the final stretch. Donald Trump has been a very big part of muscling that bill through the House, and he's going to be a big part of muscling through the Senate. Johnson doesn't want to mess up that equilibrium right now of having Donald Trump on his side. So we're going to see him do acrobatics, however it must be, to rationalize what President Trump is saying. Though I think something interesting he said there, he said that the talk about it may be a deterrent. It kind of reminds me of the tariffs talk. If we talk about doing something, it may force people to act a different way, and then we don't have to do it. I think that that could be maybe a key into what Republicans are looking at right now. But again, to get back to your question, Mike Johnson is going to say what he has to say to defend Donald Trump, because right now he just needs to get that bill through Congress, and he sure needs Donald Trump's help.
And Rob, what would you say to Michael's point that perhaps this might be a distraction because the bill is having a difficult time getting through the Senate? And we should also point out that this bill is kind of the foundation of the funding that's going to go toward this mass deportation program. Shouldn't they be putting their focus there?
Absolutely it is. And they need to get this across the finish line. I mean, Tom Homan has been talking about, since January 20th, that this bill includes the resources that they need to carry out the deportations. It has the resources for ICE. It has the remittances, which the Mexican president was talking about. So there's a whole number of things at stake. Ryan, I might slightly disagree, though. The Senate is moving forward. I think they're still on the path to July 4th. Yes, there are a few senators who are trying to negotiate things, but at the end of the day, do you really see them bucking Donald Trump? I don't.
Yeah. So there's a name we haven't mentioned yet in this panel, which you guys are probably all surprised by, and that's Elon Musk. Remember, like 24 hours ago, that was a story that none of us could stop talking about. Chuck, could this be part of the plan for Donald Trump? Is it to get Elon Musk off the front page and out of these panel discussions?
Look, I shake my head because nothing frustrates me as much as this president, because he's good at what he does when it comes to this. Distract, look over here, and it works. And he didn't want to talk about Donald Trump, talk about Elon Musk, because Elon Musk was going after this big, beautiful bill because they were having a fight. We ain't talked about any of that. And as a strategist looking towards the midterms and using the big, beautiful bill as bait to go against Republicans and make TV ads, I worry about Elon Musk money that was going to be spent in the midterms to protect these folks. And now I'm thinking, I don't have to worry about that no more.
Yeah. And I would just add one more thing. It's not only the distraction from not talking about Elon Musk, but Elon's now going back into Trump's corner. We're seeing him retweet things having to do with Los Angeles in favor of the president and what the administration is doing. So Musk is slowly and maybe quietly getting back into the president's corner. It seems like that's exactly how he wants it to go.
But it may never be the same, guys. It may never be the same, no matter how much
we always break up. I'm just letting folks know. We always break up. It always ends.
Rob Bluey still saying July 4th for the big, beautiful bill. We're going to hold him to that. All right, Mychael, Chuck, Rob, thank you all for being here.